And I was giving this 3-step system to one of my online clients who's a relatively new golfer, and he came up with the name, the TRIDENT system. So in today's video, I'm going to show you what this TRIDENT system is. So the TRIDENT method is obviously made up of 3 different levels. Now, level number 1 is conceptual. We must understand the concept. We're going to start super simple and layer on top of it. This is where we need to imagine golfers played at shoulder height. If golfers played at shoulder height and I said, right, make a golf swing from here, you would turn back to the ball and all the way through. And you can see golf is very, very simple at this height. What you won't notice is you won't see my head sway off the ball. It'll stay nice and centered and I can turn super freely and all the way through. Now, if we break this down just a little bit more, we can see the shoulders are turning perpendicular to the spine, hips are turning perpendicular to the spine, knees are turning perpendicular to the spine. What is the biggest difference between golf at shoulder height and golf played on the ground? Well, obviously it is the fact that we are in forward bend at address. Now, on average, we will bend forwards if you're in a good posture position about 30 to 35 degrees. So that now means we are still producing this motion, but we need to be able to maintain this 30-35 degrees. So as we do this, you can now see my shoulders are still turning perpendicular to my spine. You can see the hips are also turning at a tilt, granted not as much as the shoulders, and the knees are also at a tilt. Now, what you will also notice is it's not suddenly as if I go into this posture and my head starts swaying off. That's not what's happening. I am still keeping my head in this nice centered position as I am turning. Now from there is a little shift in transition and then I start to go back the other way. So now as I go into impact and pass, you can see the right shoulder, right hip, right knee are all lower than my left side. How is this actually possible? How am I able to maintain this good tilt? Well, essentially the golf swing is blending together a couple of different motions. The first motion is your basic rotation. The second part is we start in what we class as forward bend. Now, as we swing back, we substitute forward bend, which is bending forwards, for what we class as left bend. Just to show you this, I can stand straight upright, turn, head stays centered, really good pivot. And now if I drop my left shoulder down towards the ball, you can see knees start to tilt, hips start to tilt, and actually from the front on view, you can see this is a really nice centered position. Now in the downswing, what we see is you go from left bend, there is a pressure shift. As you do that pressure shift, you start to undo some of that left bend back to forward bend, and then you go through into right bend. So essentially we can go, right, we are turning, number 1. Number 2, we are going from forward bend into left bend, back into forward bend, then into right bend. Now the final part of this is a little bit more advanced, so if this is too much, don't worry about it. But if we could simplify down the whole pressure movement with rotation, then that's just going to be an absolute game changer. What the golf swing technically is a shift, turn, shift, turn. In the golf swing, we start with a slight pressure shift from lead foot to trail foot. Look at every single golfer out there, they do this. Why? Well, part of this is because we are technically swinging a weight on a stick. If a weight's going in that direction, it's going to pull my body to a certain degree in that direction. The other reason is it kickstart the swing with some momentum. That is the shift part. Shift, then we do what we just said. We go into that rotation. As we start down, we want to have that shift back to our left side. That helps us move our low point forwards, and then we go into that rotation. Level 2 to the TRIDENT rotation guide is called mapping. Now, mapping is going to become your new best friend. You do not need to be at a golf course to do this. You can do this in your living room. In fact, I strongly encourage you to do this for 5-10 minutes a day. It will revolutionize your swing and your pivot. So what you need is 3 alignment sticks. I do have a golf club. I'll explain why in a second. But the first thing I want you to do is place a golf ball down on the ground. I'm just going to bring this a little bit closer to me. Now, grab one of the alignment sticks and depending on the club you're using, go roughly about 1.5 feet outside of the golf ball. If you're using a driver, go a little bit wider, or so a little bit further away. If you're using a wedge, come a little bit closer. I do this with something like an 8-iron, a 7-iron. That's sort of 1.5 feet is a great guide. Now, the second thing I do is grab an alignment stick and place it through my belt loops. This is going to show me how my hips are working. Again, I've got it 50-50 either side. Now, one on the shoulders, again, showing me where the shoulders are going. Now, just getting used to, okay, this is forward bend. Great. Now, start back up here, turn to my right, drop the left shoulder down till it points at that alignment stick outside the ball. Now what I'm doing here is I am learning the sensations of A, keeping my head centered as I turn, and then dropping my left shoulder down, getting me into a good position here. Now from the downline view, you can see how everything is slanted down and towards the left side. So right side is higher than the left side. Once you've done that a couple times and you've gotten that sensation, now let's work on the downswing part. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start nice and tall, turn to my left, and then from there, drop my right shoulder down to the points of the ball. And again, down the line view, you can see the right side of my body is lower than the left. So this is just familiarizing us with these good sort of positions, getting used to what it feels like. I've got an 8 iron here. I'm an 8 iron distance away. I should have said that at the start. Now from here, I'm going to set up in my forward bend. As I turn back, I'm keeping my head centered and I'm just feeling myself go from forward bend into left bend. Now, once I've done that a couple times and I've gotten used to that feeling, I've mapped it out, then from there, have a little bit of a shift. So feel like you pressurize that left foot. Now you're going to start to undo it and go into the right side. So you're going to feel what it feels like to get the right side pointing at that alignment stick. And again, I'm not looking forwards. I'm still looking at the ball. So I am learning what it feels like to go from forward bend to left bend, little shift. Then from there, I go back to forward bend into right bend. The next stage up again is now you're going to have to grab a golf club. So set up to the ball, right hand on the club. If you want to make this slightly easier, if it's a little bit too heavy, just flip it over like this. But for today's purpose, I'm going to do it like this. And I've got the alignment stick still on my shoulder. Now I'm going to make a swing and I'm going to do these same movements. Good position there. Feel what it feels like, shift. Okay, now into impact. Just start to learn what it feels like to map this good swing out right here. I'm going to imagine there are lasers coming out the sides of my shoulders on the way back. I'm going to feel like I can point this down towards that alignment stick there. On the way down, shift. All right, back into this good position there. Awesome. And then swing through. So stage 3 is the practical side. This is where now we are going to start to hit balls and also have just a simple drill that we can do out on the golf course. So let's start with the simple drill. What I want you to do is take your hands and place them on the sides of your leg like so. Now, as we do this drill, we are going to make a turn to the right, and as we turn, we are going to slide our hands. The right hand is going to slide up to the right hip and the left hand is going to slide down to the edge of the left knee. So I'm going to do this here. I'm going to turn, head stay centered, sliding the right hand up, left hand down. This creates that good shoulder tilt. If I don't slide the left hand down, you can see my shoulders are flat. So make sure you get that left hand down all the way there. Once you've done that, have a little shift and then reverse it. Right hand goes all the way down, left hand comes all the way up. So I can do it here. You can see right hand up, left hand down, shift, left hand up, right hand down. Super practical drill that you could do out on the golf course. So once you've done that, then it's time to start hitting some golf shots. And the first thing that I would always say is never go flat out when you're doing this to start with. So in this situation, I've got an 8 iron here. Normal 8 iron for me is about 160, 165. I'm gonna try and hit this one about 140, 130 in terms of carry distance. For me to do this, I'm just gonna feel like I slow everything down. I'm gonna try and replicate the same feelings I have. Left shoulder down, right shoulder down. And I'm just getting used to this feeling like it's just a little bit slower, a little bit smoother. This is then going to allow me to embed it. So let me hit a shot of you at this sort of 130, 140 carry distance. And there we go. So pretty much that distance right there. Then what I would do is I'll check it on film. If it looks good and I feel comfortable with that speed, then I'm going to increase it up. Next one might be 145 yards carry, 150, 155, and then all the way up to my normal 8 iron carry distance. So that is my Trident method right there. Now I have a lot more rotation drills that I will be posting in the future that can go into this program, so stay tuned for them. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe. And if you need a little bit more one-to-one help with your game, I offer online coaching. The link is down below.